Well, thank you, Zoom. Hey, it's Tony Blauer here, No Fear Podcast, and I got a very special, interesting guest. This is a huge departure from what we normally do, which is more about the self-defense, personal safety, psychology, law enforcement, military stuff. But there's a gentleman I started following online who has several profiles on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter, YouTube, and he goes by Wurzelroot. And his name is Alexander. We'll leave it at that. And dude, welcome to my show.
Howdy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to be on here. It's definitely not like, I'm much more of a political guy, and it seems that, you're more of a conservative or right-wing lifestyle rather than a talking points.
Well, I love your bluntness. I love your directness. I shared the shit out of your stuff. You probably noticed you got like 3 or 4 more followers because of my shares, maybe 5 more followers because of my shares. But so building your audience. But I was impressed by the courage you have online. And I reached out to you right away because you posted some stuff that I was like, holy shit, this guy's got balls in this cancel culture. And not only do you have giant balls, which this is a metaphor, so please keep your pants on, is you're eloquent and you're intelligent, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I was impressed, and I shared your stuff with some people who immediately started following you, and I'm excited to get you on here. My audience will dig your stuff, and I've got some superficial, like, goofy questions for you. And anything you want to talk about, man. This is like totally, I don't have any sponsors. I do this because I like meeting people. I do this because I like talking to people. And I think that what's going on right now, not just in America, but around the world, is fucking insane. And I just wanted to expose, your brain and your ideas to my audience. My first question for you, man, is what's the backstory that led you to this, right? Because most of us are sitting here, type A personalities, but we're bitching privately, like on text. Is this the end of the world? I didn't think I'd be alive for the end of the world. What should we do? And you're out there going, hey, motherfuckers, this is what's going on. So is there kind of like a backstory that led you to this position of passion?
Yeah, I'd say so. Maybe your fitness guys will think this is interesting, because I'm sure it's like a thing that's shared by a lot of, at least the younger generation coming in, where 3 or 4 years ago I was entering into college, and I was like this 300-pound guy. I was going into computer programming, and honestly I was like a left-wing, like libertarian, like live and let be type guy, but only after seeing just how aggressively the left is willing to come after you and persecute you and not live and let be. I sort of had to make the choice of, do I better myself, both physically, mentally, in all regards, or do I and actually try to make a difference and actually try to get something done and try to prevent the absolute hell which is going to descend upon the country and honestly the world,
Right.
or do I just sit here? Things are going to be good for me. I could probably make $130,000 a year writing code for some bank, and just like allow things to get bad without a fight. I think it's very cowardly to not at least put forward a fight, even if you think it is futile.
I dig that. And, one of our maxims, and obviously, I don't know if you had a minute to check out what we do, and it doesn't matter, but clearly you can see those 2 mean Bob dummies in the background there. But, I teach personal, professional self-defense. And one of our maxims is that the people who manage their fear manage to fight. And it's not about whether you win or lose. It's giving yourself permission to be in the right fight and the good fight. But let me ask you said something that caught my attention. Were you really 300 pounds 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, I was obviously once you get that fat, you don't know how fat you really are, because what are you doing, stepping on a scale? No. The last time I was weighed, which was probably like a year or two before I started losing weight, was probably 2.5 years ago, and 2.5 years ago I started losing weight, right? But 2 years prior I was 289, and I don't think I was losing weight before then. I was in college, like snacking on pizza every single day.
What inspired the transformation?
Honestly, for me, it's all of this stuff that I talk about, right? Like seeing how bad the world really is, and all of that stuff. But for me personally, it was also the sort of realization that I'm never going to be a 20-year-old guy again. I'm never going to be a 20-year-old guy in college again with all these opportunities, and I'm only going to get older. And if I don't start doing something right now today, and I wait a week is going to turn into a year, and a year is going to turn into 5-10 years, and then what? I'm going to start where I am right now. I'm going to start the weight loss journey. I'm going to start the fitness journey when I'm 30 years old and balding, and all of my youth has escaped me, and it's only going to be harder then. Every single day that you're not improving yourself is a day that you are not the best that you could be, and a day that you are not witnessing the beauty that you are capable of.
That's awesome, and that's a parable for our times, not just for fitness.
Well, that's a Socrates thing, right?
Right.
There.
I dig it.
It is a pity for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty which he is capable of.
Nice. So a lot of my is that a beer, I hope?
No, it's a Diet Mountain Dew.
Okay, cool.
I have two vices. It's diet soda and cigarettes, obviously, both of which have been instrumental in weight loss. But I'm sure some people don't like it, but you got to do it. I think.
Right. Do you have any plans to give up the cigarettes, or that's just part of it?
Oh yeah, we're already on that. Listen.
Nice.
We're already on that. We're getting off.
Good.
Because there's a certain point at fitness where you can't be smoking cigarettes anymore. And right. Honestly, I'd rather see my kids grow up. So.
Good for you, man. Well, congrats on that. That's cool, and something I had no clue about. And but I love the philosophy behind it. I love what you said, because it's you've got to start, and it's having the discipline to experience the resilience and do it day in and day out, and that includes fighting the maniacs online, big tech, corrupt politicians. You explained a little bit about your insights that inspired this, like being there, watching what was going on. If you're very, very this is just my layperson, extremely knowledgeable and educated about politics and history and stuff like that, is that a passion, or did you study that stuff and so those connections come together naturally?
For me, honestly, history is it's always been my passion. It's something I think is really, really interesting. It's something that I did on my own, because if I was relying on public schools, right, the only things I'd know about history is slavery and the Holocaust and colonialization, right? And so a lot of this stuff was on my own. Philosophy, I think the only things I was taught in public school about philosophy was I learned 3 quotes, one from Socrates, one from Aristotle, and one from Plato. And you had to memorize those and match which philosopher said what on a test. And that's the only philosophy, So if you're not willing to do your own research, and if you don't have a passion for this stuff, you're going to be completely failed by the public education system, which is really sad. Sorry, a really long answer for
no. Listen, like, if you don't give a long answer, I'm going to give a long question. I'll fucking talk, like, you will be on for like 2 hours and you'll go, he didn't even ask me anything. He just talked, because I just love to talk too, man. Dude, let's talk school for a second. Unfortunately, you missed critical race theory episodes. You were out of school, but too bad you weren't there for that, because that would have been good, right? As a racist white man, what are your thoughts on critical race theory bullshit?
I mean, it's insane, dude. And it's more insane that people allow it, I feel like I end up like more than half of my videos, I'm just like slamming conservatives, because, I expect them,
right,
the left, to hate me, right? But I don't expect the people who are supposed to be on my side to not fight back, you know? Sorry, my hair is, I was working.
Your hair is glamorous. Your hair is glamorous today. Don't worry about it.
It is truly insane and honestly outright evil what they're doing. And it's a replacement of spirituality, honestly. And in the most insidious and self-hating manner, where from the age of 2 or 3 years old, they're going to be teaching their kids that because you are a white person, you are inherently evil because you are white. And no matter what you do, you will always be evil because you are white. But you must spend the rest of your life in contemplation of your own racist ways as a white person and in penance of this. Is that not just original sin? But instead of original sin, that you are sinful by nature and that Jesus died for these sins in order to give you salvation, to rise above and reach enlightenment in body, in mind, and to truly be a spirit rather than a flesh, you know? No, that's not what that's not what the original sin is about. The original sin is instead about you're evil because you're white, you know? It's truly diabolical stuff, man.
I sit there, you know, it's weird because I share a lot of stuff in my story and I get a lot of people saying, hey man, thanks for using your platform to share this. You know, everyone's getting deplatformed or censored or this or that. But I feel like it's lame, even just what I'm doing, but it's so pervasive. Like, where do you even start other than doing what you're doing or sharing or me getting you on the podcast? And that's going to go out to however many people are on my list and hopefully somebody gets fired up and inspired. But it's almost like, and I just discovered this, of course, in the last year, like we all did, where you start looking at old, you know, interviews with KGB defectors and socialists and Marxists, and they're explaining in black and white from in interviews in the 60s, saying this is a 30-year program like the Manchurian Candidate, right? And now when you see the lawyers and the teachers and the politicians that were all schooled in this shit years ago, it's the biggest metaphoric cancer going, and it's insane. That wasn't a question. That was just
no. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yuri Bezmenov, KGB
right.
defender, and that's one of the things I think is most interesting is the absolute psychological prison that people are put into. And I have this whole thing that I usually talk about, which is alternate realities, right? And by the absolute monopoly, vertically and horizontally, on the supply chain of information, from information happens. Who is reporting on the information? News. Who are the news organizations owned by? You know, they're owned all organizations, news organizations in America are owned by 5 corporations, you know, and so they report it, and then it goes to Twitter, it goes to Google, it goes to, you know, maybe Fox News or CNN, you know, who are still controlled, and then it goes to Google. You're Googling this information. Google is controlled and pushing this narrative on you, pushing this new reality onto you, and then it goes to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The supply chain of how people receive information about reality is absolutely owned by one side, the progressives, and people are literally living in alternate realities to the point where if you present them undeniable fact, it is more easy for them to find a way to justify it fitting into this alternative reality, which has been constructed for them, than to accept reality. And this is exactly what Yuri Bezmenov says. Undeniable truth will mean nothing to them, you know, and that's where we are right now, honestly.
And like you alluded to, it's worldwide. It would be bad enough if this was just America, because that's where we live. And it's bad. It would be bad enough if it was just America, because the rest of the world does look to America for, hey, what's happening next? They're we've always been the country that will, do what we believe is right, blah, blah, blah. But this emotional, psychological manipulation is, like, to see all the vaccine passports and shit going on in Israel and Australia and places, I was like, holy shit, whoever is behind all of this, owns everybody in every country.
Yeah.
Any idea who that is? Can we go meet that person?
Yeah, I talk about it a lot, right? But there really is a parasitic class of this like political elite who really owns everything, and on they should not be seen as different from corporations, right? Or super capitalists, people who control like so much money that it is obviously in their capitalistic imperative to then start buying and influencing governments on the wide scale, like they're doing in America, like they're doing pretty much everywhere. And from all of my research, it seems that they are very much content to allow America to burn in a way that will make the most profit to them. And you know, it's not in their interest for America to be a lone superpower. It's not in their interest for America to be non-globalized. Globalization is so important to these people. You know, they want all of our laws to be coming out of the UN. They want all of our you know, prerogatives coming from globalist organizations such as the WHO. And while they'll be controlled by Germany or France, or China is the next on the block, right? China's going to come up. In reality, who will really be controlling this is the Mitt Romneys and, you know, the Dick Cheneys and the Liz Cheneys and you know, the McCains of the world, who are willing to accept money from these corporations in order to do their bidding, but they are also capable of saying whatever it is that the people want to hear at the time, and essentially just lying to them and doing whatever it is that their bidding is, you know, and they're not separate from these corporate interests. You know, when's the last time you saw a politician with less than like 10-40 million dollars in the bank? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's and it's insane how even you talked about the alternate reality, the construct that's fed to all these people. They're so blinded that even when you have like Pelosi tearing up President Trump's, you know, the documents there, or doing deals that comes out in the news, like selling or buying stocks before, like, and nobody says a word. Nobody says a word. It's like, oh, these people are there. You can't touch them. They're untouchable.
I mean, Cuomo raped like half of his staff, you know? And I thought we were all about Me Too and believe all women,
right?
You know, but they don't care about that. They don't care about Joe Biden. They don't care about Bill Clinton, you know, but they care about, you know, Donald Trump. Why? Because Donald Trump said that he was going to fight for the American people, which is a very terrifying thing to hear a politician say as one of these sewer creatures.
Is there? So what do they want? Two questions there is like, you know, but I was saving that more for the end of, you know, do we just, I feel like I'm in a fucking a really long, boring, but weird, predictable science fiction movie that I watched 20 years ago. And I'm slowly just watching it happen. And the next thing is like every science fiction movie had everyone, you know, like dying on the outside of some big fucking wall, and then these super wealthy elite people on the you know, on the inside of the wall living, you know, they got their pools and their fake green grass and their special oxygen and all that. I mean, is that where this is going? And we're how do we swing the pendulum back the other way?
Listen, I believe that so there's two questions, right? Where is this going and how does it get prevented, right?
Bless you.
Thank you. And it's really difficult to answer the how do we stop it thing, because I honestly believe that the federal government right now is entirely controlled. And that any sort of victory coming from the federal government is impossible moving forward. I think that, you know, like to understand this situation, which, you know, a lot of people don't like to accept or acknowledge in any regard. But right now, immigration laws are being passed, and legal immigration, by the way, not just illegal, that they are letting in more people than ever. They are going to be letting in, I think, 11 million in this new law that's going through, 2.5 million in the other one. the Farmers Act are given amnesty, and we're probably going to see a lot more amnesty for illegal aliens coming in the future under Joe Biden's administration, right? And that question then is, who are these people going to be voting for, and where are they going to be living? They're going to be living likely in Texas, you know, in Arizona, in Nevada, in Georgia, all these swing states, in Florida, right? And they're gonna go blue. All right, Texas is gonna go blue. We're gonna see all these places go blue. Why? Because already the Latinos vote 66% or to 76% Democrat, due to the willingness the Democrat Party is to hand all of these people taxpayer dollars, right? And now, since they've been given amnesty and they've been given all these benefits to immigration, who are they going to vote for when they owe their entire citizenship to Joe Biden, right? And this isn't the worst, because the chain migration immigrant multiplier right now is the highest it's ever been. It's 3.6%. So for every single one of those 14 million immigrants who are going to be in the system by next election cycle, they are on average going to be pulling in 3.6 people through chain migration, right? And those are going to be voters too.
Right.
What's that, 40, 50 million people? And the immigration law, which is letting in 11 point whatever million people, that also lowers the requirements for chain migration. So the chain migration multiplier is as high as it's ever been, and it's only going to get higher, all right? How do you fight against that? You don't. At the federal level, you don't. And say we do. We get another Trump in, we're going to have thousands of federal judges that are there going to, as they did last time, stump him every single time he tries to make a move. You're going to have Congress, you know, and on the right wing, they're swamp creatures too. They're taking money from the exact same people who are paying the Democrats, you know. We have rhinos in. We're going to get a consensus from a Congress? No way, dude. Every single level of the federal system is against you from moving forward, even if you get in. And the Democratic Party is right now making sure that the Republicans will never make it in to the federal level of any position of influence ever again. So I don't have much hope. How do we succeed? Oh, I'm still answering.
That's all right. This is great. No, it's a great rant.
I think the only way forward is on the state level. I think you need to form communities, high trust communities of people who share your values, and wish to build a similar and virtuous culture with you. I think you should seek after positions of power on the state level. And from the state level, you can essentially just say, hey, state government rules, we don't care about your federal oversight. That's unconstitutional. We're not following through with it. You know, we're states. We don't have to do what you say. And the concerning thing that might get the podcast taken down is up next. Which is, James Madison clearly says if it ever happens that the states are being overwritten by the federal government to such a degree that it is tyrannical, we are living under a tyranny, then the only course of action is the forming of state militias in order to defend against the federal standing army. So if you want to call James Madison a terrorist, go ahead. I didn't say anything. I just quoted what James Madison said.
You're just quoting a guy. Wow. Pretty crazy, man. I
still haven't answered where we're going, but if you want to get a word in.
No, I'm digging this.
Yeah. Where are we going? I think that there is a creation of a new man, which is being perpetrated against us, right? Realistically, the government, or a tyrannical government or a globalist government, does not want free thinkers. It does not want people who are capable of greatness in their own selves. There's two successful forms of government, right? One, which was the previous model of America, which is we inspire individual greatness in every single person, and from that individual greatness comes a collective greatness, right? And then the second manner is the sort of factory manner, where you have millions of people, or you know, in a factory analogy, thousands of people who have one little job to do for the greater machine to work, but they are not great on their own. They are little worker bees who have one job, they do it. They are too stupid to question why they are their place in society. They're easily enough placated, whatever, by whatever handouts and gifts are given to them by their corporate overlord. And they are just smart enough to do their job and do it right. And I think that's where we're headed. A new man to be created. This is why I think the immigration is so important, so that we are fighting amongst racial lines, rather than fighting against a globalist tyrannical government, as well as to take our voice out of to replace the American culture and the American spirit. They replace spirituality with materialism, because as it says in the Bible, Galatians 5:17, the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit lusteth against the flesh. If you replace spirituality with materialism, people can very easily be placated and controlled with materialistic pleasures such as sex, such as drugs, such as the new Marvel movie that's coming out, or the football game, or whatever it is. But these are a very happy and stupid people, which they are cultivating. That's where I think we're going.
Lots of useful idiots, as the old term goes. The although on a positive note, we've got on a positive note, you've got those new. I saw them the first time I saw them. You posted it. Those new penis nitty things that when your little baby wants to switch genders but doesn't have like a bulge, like that was entrepreneurial of somebody.
Yeah.
Fuck. I just read. It was insane. Some mom posted, I'm sure you saw it, and I'm sure you probably did a little spoof on it, her claiming her 1-year-old baby is transgender. Like, and one of my followers posted a comment going, well, if he's still breastfeeding, he's not. So give him a few more years to figure this out, you fucking idiot. That shit's you can just see how insane the world is getting, and these people are popping up left and right. It's like that. And there was actually a post that I forgot to play right in the beginning. It was a recent post of yours I saw on Twitter, but just people are just insane. You did some rant about they've got this audience now. They're on stage, and so this is all they've got, is to go, look how weird I am.
Yeah. And in that case, in that video, it was a drag queen like stripping show,
right.
Which was a bunch of like 6-year-olds doing their little drag queen strip show, getting money from grown men, throwing them dollar bills at like they were at a strip club. It's disgusting stuff. And everyone with a head on their shoulders knows that this is evil and wrong, and not just wrong in like a matter of law, but in a matter of natural law. This is against nature. This is against everything. This is against God, but it's wrong to the core of what is being a human. But we allow these things to be perpetrated. And the response from us is in no means, the same as what is being perpetrated against us. What they are doing is so wrong. It should not be tolerated in any regard. It's not time to talk to them. Like so many Republicans, they'll talk about how abortion is murder, right? But if that is really your premise, that's really what you accept, that abortion is murder, then there's 360,000 babies every single year who are getting killed, who are being murdered. And what are you going to do about it? You're going to make a tweet on Facebook? Tweet on Facebook. You're going to make a tweet? You're going to make a post on Facebook about it? Babies, 300,000 are being murdered every single year. Kids, 5 years old, are going to transgender strip clubs and getting groomed by a bunch of weirdo pedophiles, and our response is, well, that's a bit strange. No, your response should be, get on your knees and face the wall, dude.
Right. That's, guys,
Hypothetical.
if anyone's listening to that, that was just kind of like a cartoony metaphor
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Right.
If we made a cartoon about this situation,
Right. Right.
in some sort of
Um,
hypothetical novel.
do you get a how much hate mail do you get? Do people flip out or
Uh, Not enough, man. Not enough. I got much more when I was on TikTok. But it's always funny. It's always really, really funny. Some dude the other day sent me a he tried to like debunk one of my like transgender arguments, and like he just completely misread the statistics. Like the statistics were proportional, and he said that they weren't proportional, but in the graphic that he sent me it showed that it was proportional statistics. It's always funny. I love dealing with them and just making fun with them, making fun of them. It's probably one of it's what inspired me to do it. I love making
really?
fun of it. It's epic. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, being that smart like that, it's fun. It's witty. The I saw one, I think, unless I misread it, where some guy got really upset with you and said it's because you're secretly gay, and then you posted a picture of him saying, "Yeah, man, you're incredibly irresistible," and that was. I mean, you have a lot of fun with this stuff, but at the same time, there's a ton of research and seriousness. You go from being incredibly witty to somber, like a kick in the fucking balls, unless you've had your balls removed. But that was a joke, guys. Everybody. How
Well, it's
much?
really important, I think, to be able to do both things, right?
Right.
You got to be able to come out here and talk about like what Rene Descartes said and what Plato said, what Aristotle said. You got to know your stuff and know your history, know statistics. Dude, I read like a 30-page report from Black Lives Matter on their finances, just for fun in my free time,
Right.
in order to make a video about it. And you got to be able to do that, but then you also have to be able to make fun of people, because honestly, that's what most people care about, right? And I've talked about this before, but like 95% of people, they don't really care about politics, right? They care about where they fit in the social hierarchy, and they care about virtue signaling that they are a good person via politics as like a medium. And this is why people are posting on Instagram Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. It's not really because they care about anything. It's because they need to assert their place in society. It's a very human thing. We're societal creatures. Aristotle says we are political animals, right? And it's so true. We can't exist just as like a human in the woods. As much as I'd like to, people have this desire, and if you can take where these people are and say, oh, this is what leftists look like, and it's just this ugly idiot, and make fun of them. It's so effective, because the majority of people who don't care, or who are doing this for personal reasons, to look good or to be a part of the good people in society, making fun of them and making them seem like a laughing stock, no one wants to be associated with that. No one wants to be a part of a group of people which is openly mocked and made fun of.
The you brought up something about the research and reading that 30-page Black Lives Matter document, stuff like that. How much? What is your process? Because you come out with stuff regularly. Are you just doing your shit, running your life, and then all of a sudden something pops up and you go, oh no, they didn't, and then you go into that, or do you go, there's 7 days in a week, there's so much content. How do you organize your stuff? Because it's the amount of stuff you generate that's not just the funny stuff, but the meaningful stuff is pretty impressive.
Yeah, honestly, usually I'll just like I'll go through the social medias, right? And you just go until something like doesn't seem right, and then I just like to poke into it and figure out what's going on.
Doesn't take very long.
What's going on there.
Right.
You just gotta like because all the media is just so like bought and sold, that like the most interesting stuff is obviously just stuff that they're not going to report on, or they're never going to talk about,
Right.
And it's really on you to do the annoying bit, which is the own research, like reading these stupid documents yourself. The only reason that I started looking into Black Lives Matter was because They posted that they had raised $90 million last year for Black Lives Matter. I was like, $90 million? That's nothing, dude. And come to find out they're owned by the Tides Foundation, which is one of the most corrupt organizations in political lobbying. And out of, like, last year, they were owned by 1,000 Currents, right? And 1,000 Currents, what these charity organizations do, they're the financial sponsors of Black Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter isn't a nonprofit organization. It doesn't get tax write-offs, right?
Nice.
So they donate through 1,000 Currents. It's such a huge and long process, but essentially from the financial controller, they will give money to Black Lives Matter, right? You have to go through the middleman first, right? So the only money that they're reporting is the money that they're given from their overseer. And their overseer, the 1,000 Currents last year, they took 89% of the money donated to Black Lives Matter, and they spent it on salaries. They spent it on consulting fees. They spent it on travel expenses. Travel expenses in 2019, travel expenses was the same exact amount as the amount of money that was actually donated to local Black Lives Matter chapters, right? It's
Unreal.
insane. 89% wasn't given to Black Lives Matter. It was spent on bullshit, man. I don't know if we're allowed to swear. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, no, we're way
It
past
doesn't
that.
affect me. I'm not donating to them, but it's
Right.
just funny that leftists are getting scammed as they're trying to.
That whole thing, and like, of course, tomorrow is a very important day. This will get me kicked off, but let's celebrate George Floyd, and let's invite him to the White House. But let's not ever celebrate the life of a police officer or invite their families to the White House. It's like an upside down clown world, man. It's fucking where you have like Bill Maher actually posting positive things about how insane the world is, which is weird because he's usually on the other side. What do you think is, I mean, we already covered this, but in a summary, what do you think is there's many dangerous threats. There's so many things going on at the same time. What do you think is the most dangerous threat? Because there's a bunch of wars being fought on our kids, on religion, on politics, on, what they did last year worldwide to crush the middle class, and to what you alluded to is the manufacturing model of let's get everyone just so numbed that they go, fuck it, I just got to feed my family. I'm going to go to the fucking factory today and stamp this thing and then come home. But there's a bazillion things going on. Is there one that really keeps?
Well, they're all interconnected.
Right.
They're all interconnected. It is a concerted effort that to bring about a new world. It's a concerted effort by these people to change the world as we know it to a globalist world, which is essentially ruled by these super capitalists and the political elite. And you are going to see the destruction of the family. You're going to see the destruction of your country, of your race, your culture, your religion. All of that is going to be lost due to this, and all of those suck and they're horrible. But we're really treating the symptoms, or I'm trying to address which symptom of this greater disease is the worst. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're all horrible. They're all absolutely atrocious and evil. But it's all one fight. I guess that's it. Is that there is a new world which is being brought about. It is not the best world for you or for me. It is not the best world for the greatest amount of people of Americans. It's the greatest world for a select few amount of people. These political movers and shakers, who, by the way, are like degenerate as hell. They are absolutely atrocious animals. It's the best world for them. And the Biden administration has proved what they are willing to do in order to get their agenda through. Very recently, the COVID-19 Relief Act. I made a video about this yesterday. Sorry if I'm going over something.
No, go.
But it recently got a temporary restrictive order, which against this part of the law, which said that white men were to be given the worst priority when it came to receiving COVID-19 relief funds for small businesses. So they got sued by this guy, the Greer Ranch Cafe, who had lost in the past year to coronavirus due to lockdowns, restrictions, and all that stuff, $100,000, right? And they were facing irreparable damage to their business. But by the time that their priority came up, because the socially disadvantaged and women were given highest priority for receiving the funds from the federal government, by the time that they were able to apply to get assistance from the government, all of the money had already been spent, all of the money. So they were, what is that really saying though? That if you are a white man, they are willing to bankrupt you, ruin you, send you and your family out onto the streets because it is more important to them to win,
Yeah, no, I saw that, man. I saw that.
Everything is at stake. Everything. There's no one thing that's the worst. It's that we are being absolutely murdered by a people who have outright hatred for us and malice. And one punch is not worse than the other. You know what I mean?
Good analogy, dude. Wow. I'm looking at just scanning some of these questions I had for you, and I think we touched on them. There's no magic wands here. Do we just got to ride this out, and then in 200 years things will reset way past us? There's going to be, some Luke Skywalker character, some fucking, hero that everyone rises up. It doesn't sound like it's going to. This is depressing for me to say, because even what I do is like, this ship isn't turning. It's taken 30, 40 years of manipulation to get it here. You could see that, like, even with everything going on with the elections, with the Supreme Court, where you're going, well, clearly there's enough evidence now, and then all that got fucking derailed. Where do you see this playing out in the near future, or how do you see this playing out?
There is and when I say this to people always get like really sad and like depressed, but I don't see it as a depressing thing. I feel like it's comforting to look at reality and to accept it, right? But the answer is quite simple. There is no Luke Skywalker. Unless Jesus comes down and sits on the earth and starts destroying all these, all these evil people. The only person who can save us is it's you, it's me, it's your brother living down the street. It's the people who go to the same supermarket as you. It is every single one of us are the only person who can save us, and this only comes through utter determination to not lay down and die. It does not matter, as you said, how bad or how improperly things are stacked against us, how one-sided things seem. Even if you think everything is screwed and we're just dead and there's no coming back from how bad things are right now, then you're just going to lay down and accept it. You're just going to be a part of what is happening, even though it's wrong. You are going to be complicit by being a bystander. No, the only answer is to be part of fighting against it, and not part of fighting against it. Even if there's no one else, it should be you. It should be you. Why would you go down whimpering? Why would you go down silently? Why would you not go down like a fucking Viking screaming? Why? How are you going to go to Valhalla unless you fucking turn yourself every single day, grueling at the gym, every single day on your computer, looking up philosophy and educating yourself every day, becoming the best at carpentry or at music or all these different things to create a best version of yourself, a version of yourself which perhaps can make these people tremble to fight against. You know, the only way that we are going to be saved is not by Donald Trump coming down and saving everyone. It's not by Ron DeSantis coming down and saving everyone, Luke Skywalker, whoever. It is about every single person determining that they are not going to whimper and go quietly. You know, they are going to make themselves as great as they can be and say, you know what, I'm not going to allow it. You know. And this isn't violence or anything. I'm just saying, go to the gym and make yourself as great as you can be.
Dude, that was an amazing answer. It surprised me, but it impressed me too. And I agree. And we'll kind of wrap on that, because it was the injustice for all fucking speech at the end of this. Is there anything we didn't cover that you would like to add while we're here, while you're talking to my audience? And like I said, my audience are mostly public safety professionals. They're people who train, who will really dig the last thing you said. Some of them might even start smoking as a result of how good this was. But it was impressive. I'm impressed with your mind. I'm impressed with your courage. I'm inspired by the message you just shared. And I dig it, man. And I'm excited to share this with my audience. But is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to add?
Geez, it's weird because I always have a lot of like hesitance to come out and like support the police and stuff like that. Now, obviously, like half my family, I'm from Massachusetts. Half my family is firefighters, and the other half is police officers, right? So. I really have great empathy for police officers, but I feel like, you guys, like, you have such a obligation to the people who you are protecting and serving, and we live in a world where we really have a tyrannical federal government, and a lot of these places are acting against the interests of the people. Just like, we back the blue, back us too. You know what I mean? Remember, we're not kneeling to Black Lives Matter, stuff like that. Kyle Rittenhouse is a hero. I know you guys agree with me. Just the change is every single person. If you are given whatever, and this is for every person. The change is every single person. And every single person needs to be the king. Every single person needs to be the hero. And allowing bad things or tyrannical things to happen because you feel like there's no other option. Well, you're going to be trying to explain that to St. Peter at the pearly gates, why you allowed things to get so bad when perhaps you had the chance to do something else, to do what was right.
I love that, man. Back the blue, back us. I dig that. Alex, man, this was amazing. It was more, I didn't know what to expect. I was a little even intimidated to get on here because I think your brain moves way faster than mine, and you're so much more knowledgeable. So I was a little bit nervous for myself on this, but you carried the podcast. And you were,
it was great.
You were great. Thank you. I'm giving you a 7, Tony. No, it was good, man. You're funny, you're witty, you're smart, you're relevant, and your message needs to get out there. And I'm super excited to share it. Thank you so much for your time. I'll share all your links and stuff so people can follow all of your stuff online. And is there a best place? Is there a place you're most dominant? Is it Instagram, or you just reshare everything across all your channels?
I'm Wurzelroot on pretty much everything. Instagram's my biggest platform right now since I got axed off TikTok.
Good for you. Congrats.
I'm on Gab, Telegram. I'm pretty much everywhere. Wurzelroot.
I dig it. Okay, cool, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.